What's going on, guys? It's HawkWX, and today I'm going to be talking about which RLCS 2026 teams I think have the most potential based on raw talent. If you enjoyed today's video, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Thanks, guys. Now let's get into the video. Also, guys, before we get into the video, I do want to say we are only 50 subscribers away from 1,000 subscribers from the time we're recording this video. I think we're at like 950 right now. So theoretically, if you guys do your thing, we might be able to hit 1,000 subscribers off this video. It's probably unlikely, but there is a chance. Just wanted to throw that out there. It might be possible to get 1,000 subs off this video. And again, guys, just thank you so much for all the support on the RLCS videos lately. It really does mean a ton to me. But anyway, let's start talking about which RLCS 2026 rosters I think have the most potential based on raw talent. And we'll start off by going over the heads up slide. So let's look at that really quick. The classic heads up. Okay, it's not working. Sorry, guys. Okay, now it's time to look at the classic heads up slide. Here we go. In this slideshow, I will be covering the 16 rosters that I feel like have the most potential in terms of raw talent heading into the RLCS 2026 season. This is not a power rankings video or a video about how I think these teams will perform either. The purpose of this video is to rank how talented each roster is on paper and how good they could be in theory if each player on their roster was peaking. This is all hypothetical and a subjective ranking as well. This list is also stacked, so if a team is in the top 10 or higher, I generally think they have a ton of potential. I would even say like top 12 or higher, top 13, really all these teams have a ton of potential. But like what I'm saying by the top 10 is like, I think if a team is like top 12, 11, or top 10, something like that, they might actually have a chance to win majors if they were peaking. Or I just think their roster is stacked. Like there's a lot of talent on the roster. And really there is like an unreal amount of talent on all these rosters. This is genuinely the most stacked list I've ever made in terms of the caliber of players that are on every roster in this video. Also, this is not meant to rage bait anybody. This probably is going to rage bait some people. There are some teams that I have really high, but it's based on raw talent. This is not how I think some of these teams are going to do. There's one team in particular, I have them at number 5. I think it's going to surprise you. But based on raw talent, I don't think my take is crazy, and we'll get there when we get there. But yeah, there might be some other rosters that surprise you where I have them. But yeah, this is just based on raw talent and how good I think these rosters are, or how good individually I think the players are really, and what I think could happen if all three players played as well as they could together and peaked. But anyway, let's get into number 16. We have Wildcard. This is Banana Head, Fever, and Torsauce. Also, I don't know if this is actually going to be Wildcard or not. I think Wildcard's still in Rocket League, but either way, Banana Head, Fever, and Torsauce are expected to stick together, so I'm just going to keep it as Wildcard. But anyway, my main reasoning, this roster performed very well at Worlds. I think placing top 6 at Worlds earned them a spot on this list. All three players are honestly very good. They're just inconsistent. I expect this team to be the number 1 team out of OCE this season. They have the potential to upset good teams when peaking. Peak potential placement, top 6 at LAN only because of Worlds. More realistic peak potential placement, top 8 at LAN. So no, I hate to say it, I don't think Wildcard's going to make another top 6, but because they did make a top 6, I have to put that in there as the peak potential placement. But I think it is more realistic to say that top 8 isn't that crazy to say that they could place during the 2026 season. All right, now moving on to number 15. And guys, this is a stacked list. Like seriously, Wildcard at 16, that's kind of crazy because Wildcard is not the 16th best team in the world. I think they're better than that. But yeah, they're just 16th on this list. But anyway, we have FUT Esports. This is likely FUT Esports. It's not confirmed yet, I don't think, but it's very likely. Cheese, Frosty, and Sosa. My main reasoning, even though this team might not make lands out of NA, I think they do have a ton of potential. I feel like Cheese and Frosty will be a very good duo, and Sosa will probably play a solid support role. I see this team being the likely number 5 seed in NA, which is actually very respectable for once. For once, NA actually does have 4 really good teams. I feel like I think the top 4 isn't necessarily set in stone, but I think it's pretty much set in stone. I think you have SSG, you have NRG, you have Shopify, and you have Gen.G, who are your top 4 in NA. In no order, I was just kind of rambling there, but anyway. Frosty is one of the most mechanical players in NA, even though I think they may not make LAN, so I cannot really give them a peak LAN potential placement like I did for Wildcard. I do think they are more talented than Wildcard, so they're here. I also will give them a peak potential placement ranking anyway for fun. Peak potential placement, top 8 at LAN. I think if this team did make LAN, if they peaked and played as well as they possibly can, top 8 would be possible. And also, they probably won't make LAN, but if you had Wildcard versus FUT Esports, this FUT roster right here, I do think that this roster would probably win. So that's why I have them ahead of Wildcard. Again, guys, this is based on raw talent. You have Frosty on a roster, you have Cheese, who's really good, and you have Sosa. I do think they're better than Wildcard in that sense, in the sense of raw talent. Anyway, moving on to number 14. Now we have Team Secret. It might seem crazy to see Secret this low because they do have really good players, but anyway, let me just read my main reasoning. And there's a lot of rosters on this list, guys, that are just so talented that it does put Team Secret at number 14 in my eyes. But anyway, number 14, Team Secret, Jerfinho, KV1, and Mata. My main reasoning, all 3 of these players are very good at the game and have a lot of potential. These players have some slight consistency issues, but do all have high ceilings. I'm interested to see how Jerfinho will look on this roster. I could see this roster end up being the number 1 seed out of SAM at LANs throughout the season. Peak potential placement, top 6 at LAN is possible. So guys, to put into better perspective how stacked I think this list is, we're at number 14 and I already have top 6 at LAN being possible as the peak placement. There are a lot of very good teams this season in RLCS, raw talent wise. How they'll actually play together, no idea. But there is a lot of talent in RLCS this season. Now moving on to number 13, we have their brothers down in South America. Furia, this is Lost, Swift, and Yan. My main reasoning, even though they've been on a massive downtrend lately, there is no denying that this roster has a ton of raw talent and potential. If Yan and Lost can get back to where they once were individually, this team will be very dangerous. I think Swift has a ton of potential. It'll be interesting to see if he can help get Furia back to where they once were. Peak potential placement, top 6 at LAN is possible. Last season in Birmingham, I think they got top 4. I don't know if I can see that happening anymore just with how good RLCS is now. Top 4, I think they could do. Honestly, I'll say this. Once a team makes top 6 or even top 8, who knows? Like, genuinely, if a team makes top 8 these days, they probably can peak and make a grand final. Winning, I don't know, but making a grand final, honestly, if a team makes a top 8, they can probably make a grand final, which is insane. So yeah, having them in top 6 might sound crazy, but yeah, I do just want to clarify. I think if a team makes top 8, they probably can make a grand final. Maybe not wildcard, maybe not FUT. All hypothetical, guys. This list is already chalked. But anyway, let's get into number 12 now. We have Ninjas in Pyjamas. I'm actually really excited about this team. This has a maybe next to it because I don't know if this is actually going to be Ninjas in Pyjamas. I don't think this is confirmed yet. It's just been rumored for a while now. But anyway, number 12, we have Ninjas in Pyjamas, CRR, Jorez, and Oli. My main reasoning, I'm a big fan of how all 3 of these players play the game, and I feel like they are all very underrated. I think there's actually a world where this team could make majors out of EU, but I definitely do not expect that to happen. CRR is very solid, same with Oli, and all 3 players are pretty strong mechanically. I think Jorez will be the one who will create most of the offense for this team and is their best player. Peak potential placement, top 6 at LAN is possible. So you might think it's crazy that I have NIP here, but I do think, in theory, NIP has a higher peak than all of these rosters that I have behind them. And I think NIP is a better roster overall than all the rosters I have behind them. Like, I think they'd win head-to-head against the rosters I have behind them right now. Could be wrong, but I do like this NIP roster on paper. Now, moving on to number 11, we have a new rumored roster, or they've been rostered for a while. They actually aren't new. What's new is the org that they're rumored to be on. This is the new rumored Virtus.Pro. This is very likely to be Virtus.Pro. Not going to be Kevin, Sphinx, and Sosa this season. Well, I guess Sosa is going to be with Cheese and Frosty anyway. It's not going to be Kevin, Sphinx, and Catalysm. It's going to be Matzer, Radosin, and Eugen, it sounds like, which is pretty exciting. But anyway, number 11, Virtus.Pro, Matzer, Radosin, and Eugen. My main reasoning, I love how Radosin plays the game, and I feel like he will perfectly enable Matzer and Eugen. Eugen is very, very good mechanically. Same with Matzer, and Rado is Rado. I love Rado. He just plays Rocket League. I feel like the way it's supposed to be played. Maybe not exactly how it's supposed to be played. There's a lot of ways you can play Rocket League, but Rado plays very well. He's a world champion. He's just always good. It is pretty easy to look at the players on this roster and see that there's a ton of potential and raw talent. Eugen and Matzer are the potential next up players in France, which says a lot. France maybe isn't as scary as they once were, but France is still France. They have some of the best players in the world. Peak potential placement, top 6 at LAN is possible. Again, if I have a team at like top 6 is possible, wouldn't be surprised if they can win a whole entire major or make a grand final, which is going to make number 10 seem really surprising to you guys. Honestly, the peak potential placement thing that I have is kind of just all over the place. It's not all over the place. I actually tried to put thought into it, but it's just so many teams that I have in places that might not seem realistic, but this is based on absolute peak potential. But yeah, anyway, let's just get on to number 10 now. We have Gen.G Mobile 1 Racing. This is Justin, Rise, and Magic Bear. I love this team on paper, but anyway, main reasoning, I am a huge believer in all 3 of the players on this roster. I think Rise will fit very well with Justin and Magic Bear and will make Gen.G much more dangerous offensively. This is a very high potential roster. Hopefully they will actually put all the pieces together. I think there's a world where this is the number 2 seed out of NA. I expect this to be an improved Gen.G team during the 2026 season. Peak potential placement, top 4 at LAN is possible. So yes, I think it's possible for Gen.G Mobile 1 Racing to make a top 4. Do I expect it? No. But when I see Justin, Rise, and Magic Bear on paper, and I know what all 3 of their peaks are, I know how well they can play the game, top 4 at LAN, I think it's possible. I think they can do it. Magic Bear is insane. Justin is one of the most consistent players mechanically in the world, and he's good on LAN. And Rise is also good on LAN and one of the most consistent players in the world, in my opinion. All 3 players, in terms of not even just in the sense of all Rocket League pros, in the sense of pros that go to LANs, they're all above average. In my opinion, top 4 is possible if these players peak. Go ahead and go down in the comments and tear me apart. I don't care. This is where I have Gen.G. But now you can see why I'm saying the top 12 or 11 or 10 teams or so. This is where things are just stacked. We're looking at really good teams now, in my opinion. But anyway, number 9, we have GeeKay Esports. Apparently Jack, Joyo, and Seiko. My main reasoning, this roster is incredibly strong on paper. All 3 players are proven on LAN, and we know what each player brings to the table. If these players work well together with the talent they all have, they will be a very, very good team. All 3 players have won a major. If they were peaking, I feel like they could be almost anyone. Peak potential placement, top 1 to 4 at LAN is possible. We're only at number 9 on the list, and we already have top 1 to 4 at LAN is possible. That's how good I think these teams are, and how good I think these players are if they peak. I just can't see Appjack, Joyo, and Seiko on paper and be like, yeah, if they peaked, they couldn't win. If they peaked, they could win. So you see top 1 to 4 at LAN being possible. Also, I do want to say, you see that possible is lowercase here, it's uppercase here. That's because I think that it's a lot less likely that Gen.G makes a top 4 compared to GeeKay. I think it's more expected if GeeKay was to do that than it is if Gen.G was to do that. But anyway, let's move on to number 8 now. We have Team Vitality. This might seem low to you guys, But I do think there are 7 rosters with more overall raw talent than Vitality has. Not that I think we'll do better than Vitality this season, but that I think have more overall raw talent. That's what this is about. So don't turn into Captain Poopy Britches over my rankings here, okay? But anyway, number 8, I have Team Vitality. This is Exotic, Stizzy, and Zen. Main reasoning, we know what Exotic and Zen bring to the table. The main player to question, and ironically the one with a ton of untapped potential, is Stizzy. If Stizzy can play consistently at a very high level, then Vitality will have a great season. I feel like I still have not seen enough from Stizzy yet, including him at his highest level, which makes it hard for me to rate how this team would do at their peak level when I'm not even sure if we know what Stizzy can do at his peak level. Luckily for Vitality fans, this is a hypothetical list ranking teams' peak potential, and I do think Stizzy has a lot of untapped potential. Peak potential placement, top 1 to 4 at LAN is possible. Somehow, some way, there are going to be Vitality fans in the comments tearing me apart for this. I just said that your team can win a LAN race. That top 1 there, don't look at the 4, look at the 1 there. That means that you can win. There's still going to be Vitality fans down in the comments tearing me apart. I just know there is. And I'm all for it. I love it. NA on top. Just know that I put top 1 to 4 there. That means that I do think Vitality can win. It's not all doom and gloom out there for Vitality like the Vitality fans seem to think that I think it is. I really do think Vitality is a good team. NA on top. But anyway, let's look at number 7 now. We have Karmine Corp. NA on top. Anyway, Atao, Juicy, and Vatira. My main reasoning, having Karmine Corp this low might seem insane, but this is a ranking of rosters based on raw talent, rather than how I think they'll actually do this season, and I do think there are quite a few rosters with more raw talent than them after they lost Drawley. Atao, Juicy, Vatira, I think I have them power ranked number 5 in the world. I think in terms of how I expect them to do at majors, all that type of thing, I think I had them at like number 3, like chances to win a major. I think this is a really good team, but in terms of on-paper talent, I do think there are like 6 other rosters that I have to put ahead of them. I think Vatira and Atao are 2 of the best players in the world. Juicy just sort of brings their ranking down slightly for me, as I feel like the rosters I have in front of them on this list have players who are more talented or who have more potential than Juicy. Nonetheless, this will be one of the best teams in the world. Peak potential placement, top 1 to 4 at LAN is possible. If Karmine Corp won a major, wouldn't be surprised at all. But I do have them at number 7 here because I think there are 6 other rosters with more potential than them. Hence why they're at number 7, because 6 plus 1 is 7. Anyway, let's go to number 6 now. We have Gentlemates Alpine. This is Archie, Nas, and Oski. My main reasoning also, this is one that I could maneuver definitely around, and this is where it goes back to the beginning of the video where I talked about who I have at number 5. It's gonna seem crazy, but this is based on raw talent. Having Gentlemates at number 6 might seem crazy, but when I talk about number 5, it might not seem as crazy. But I do think my top 4 pretty solidified. But anyway, number 6, we have Gentlemates Alpine. This is Archie, Nas, and Oski. This roster is absolutely stacked, one of the most mechanical rosters in the world. Nas has a ton of potential even still. Oski and Archie are continually improving and always play well on LAN. I could honestly put this roster a spot higher, but I wanted to get really hypothetical with the next roster on this list ahead of them, as I've been hinting at. There is a world where this is the number 1 seed out of EU this season, incredibly high ceiling, peak potential placement, top 1 to 4 at LAN is possible. Also, this is kind of crazy. I have like 6 EU teams in this video, but the highest that I have EU in this video is 6. Even though EU is going to probably very likely be the best overall region in Rocket League this season, I do just think raw talent wise, there are 5 rosters with more raw talent than the EU rosters. So yeah, once again, NA on top, and Mina, I guess I kind of just gave away the rest of the teams, but it just all goes back to NA on top. But anyway, let's look at number 5 now. We have Spacestation Gaming, Chronic, Diaz, and Reveal. My main reason, this is the one that I was talking about, by the way, the crazy one. Yes, Spacestation Gaming at number 5. Probably should have revealed it better. Also, that's a pretty good pun because they have Reveal on the roster. But anyway, number 5, Spacestation Gaming, Chronic, Diaz, and Reveal. My main reasoning, in terms of raw talent and potential, this roster is loaded. This is based off of raw talent, guys. Look at Diaz. Look at the way he plays the game. He's insane. Reveal, insane. Chronic, insane. I think they are the 5th most talented roster on paper in the world in terms of what the players can do individually. Do I think they are the 5th best team in the world? No. I have them at number 5 because I think they have a ton of raw talent. That's the name of the video. Which RLCS 2026 rosters do I think have the most potential? Or something like that. So, number 5, we have Spacestation Gaming. But anyway, Chronic, Diaz, Reveal. Let's restart with the main reason, I guess. In terms of raw talent and potential, this roster is loaded. Diaz and Reveal have a ton of potential, and Reveal proved he is a great player and great LAN player last season as well. I could see Reveal and Diaz being an insane duo this season. We know what we'll get with Chronic, and he continually improves. Diaz is possibly the highest potential player in Rocket League. He plays and looks like Zen and Nupo when he plays ones, but he has not quite been able to bring that same level over to 3s yet. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not even a big 1s guy. I love watching 3s. I don't really care that much about 1s, but when I have watched 1s, Diaz, Nupo, and Zen are the 3 most entertaining players to watch by far, and it's because of what those 3 players can do on the ball. I'm not saying that I think Diaz is in the same tier as Zen and Nupo. In 1s he is, but like in 3s he's not. But I'm just saying, if he was to start playing kind of how he plays 1s, but in 3s, good luck. Spacestation would be insane. Like seriously, there's no reason that Diaz, if he could bring his 1s playstyle over to 3s, that he wouldn't be like a Zen or a Nupo in 3s. Like he's that good at 1s. Like he legitimately is. Sounds crazy right now, but we'll have to see what happens. But anyway, if Diaz were to play 3s at the level he plays 1s alongside Chronic and Reveal, it would be insane. They would instantly become a favorite to win LANs. It would be like putting Zen on a team with Chronic and Reveal, who are already great players. peak potential placement, top 1 to 4 at LAN is possible. Again, this is a hypothetical list. It's not power rankings. This is based on raw talent. In terms of how Diaz plays ones, I think it is actually very comparable to Zen and Nupo, like that type of player. So to say that it would be like putting Zen with Reveal and Chronic isn't that insane if Diaz were to play threes at the level he can play ones. Just saying, it's all hypothetical, it's all theory, it's all rage bait, NA on top. Now we're moving on to the top 4, and I am extremely confident in the top 4. I'm not as confident about the rest of my list. I'm pretty confident about it. I feel good about it. I actually did think about it. I swear I really did put thought into it. But my top 4, I'm very confident in. At number 4, Shopify Rebellion. We have First Killer, Kofor, and LJ. My main reasoning, this is the most self-explanatory one yet. First Killer is due to win a lane event. All 3 players on this roster are ridiculously talented. They can do everything. Very high firepower roster. Kofor is next up. LJ is underrated, even though everyone still knows he's insane. Kofor seems like a perfect fit for the LJ-FK duo. If they all peak and put the pieces together, they will win a LAN. All LAN players. That's the thing. They're too good if they all peak, and if they were all peaking at the same time, nobody's beating them, because odds are the other teams that they're playing against aren't going to be like completely peaking. Obviously, this is all hypothetical, but yeah, I think Shopify can definitely win LANs. Peak potential placement, winning a LAN/Worlds, top 1 to 4 is likely for this team at some point. So now you're seeing a different potential peak placement for me, for this team. So you see winning a LAN/Worlds in bold. Don't see that here. You just see peak potential placement, top 1 to 4 at LAN is possible, but then you also see the top 1 to 4 is likely. I do think you'll probably see Shopify make a top 4 or better at some point this season. I don't think that's that crazy to say. It's something that I don't know that you should bet on, but I do think looking at all the other rosters in Rocket League right now, it's not crazy to say that Shopify is likely to probably make a top 4 or better at some point this season. Might be too high of expectations for him coming from me, but I do really, really like the Shopify roster. First Killer's too good, Kofor's too good, LJ is too good. If they were all playing well, they win a LAN. But the curse of Fourth Killer might be too strong, we'll just have to see. But anyway, now moving on to number 3. We have Twisted Minds. This is Monkey Moon, Nupo, and TRK511. My main reasoning, I hate to use this as reasoning, but I just have a feeling this team will be insane. So yeah, I hate to say things like that. Like, I just have a feeling, like, that's obviously not good at reasoning, but like, I just have a feeling. If Monkey Moon, Nupo, and TRK are all peaking at the same time, I really do not know if anyone could beat this team. This will be a ridiculously fast team, probably will be the best or second best offense in RLCS during the 2026 season if I had to guess. They can all do everything, they all play well on LAN too. Peak potential placement, winning a LAN/Worlds, top 1 to 4 is likely for this team at some point. So, Twisted Minds is at number 3 because they have an unbelievable amount of talent on the roster, first of all. Tons of raw potential, tons of raw talent still with Nupo. If they're all playing at their peak level, it's just over. They get the trophy. Now we're getting into number 2, and actually I do want to say this is going to make some people mad because it is very arguable that this team that I'm going to have at number 2 could be argued to be number 1, but I still believe in the team that I have at number 1 more than I believe in any other team, at least in the sense of how they play at their highest level. Kind of gives it away now, and after I've been saying NA on top the whole time. But anyway, number 2, we have Team Falcons. This is Drawley, Kaliers, and Ruwas. My main reasoning, no need to explain this one either. Drawley with the twins, if they're peaking, who beats them? That is a genuine, really good question. If they're peaking, nobody beats them. That's the answer. Unless like NRG's peaking. I seriously think the only teams that can beat each other if they're peaking, or the only team that can beat Falcons or NRG when they're truly peaking, is Falcons or NRG. They just would trade wins at that point. But anyway, Drawley with the twins, if they're peaking, who beats them? Just read that, so you get to hear it a second time. I expect this to be the best offense in RLCS during the 2026 season. I think MENA is going to have the 2 teams with the best offenses this season. Potential is through the roof, can definitely beat anyone, a favorite to win an event. Adding the arguable best player in the world to arguably the best duo in the world, even though I still think the best duo is Beast Mode and Daniel. Peak potential placement, winning a LAN/Worlds, top 1 to 4 is expected for this team at some point. So, you see another change in wording, not the winning LANs and Worlds, or not winning a LAN/Worlds, but you see the expected for top 1 to 4. So here you see top 1 to 4 is likely, here you see top 1 to 4 is likely, and then right here you see expected. I would bet my house, just kidding. I would bet nothing. I think it's expected that Falcons makes the top 4, okay? So that's okay, I just really butchered my explanation there. So I have it likely here. I think it's expected that Falcons makes the top 4. I think it'd be insane if Falcons didn't make a top 4. That's the thing. I would just never drop down to the level where I'm betting on Rocket League, but I truly do fully expect Team Falcons to make top 4 this season. It's just something that's going to happen. They're too good. This would be one of the biggest flops in Rocket League history if they didn't make a top 4. That's basically how I see it. And like I said, winning a LAN/Worlds is possible. Top 1 to 4 is expected. But anyway, we're going to move on to number 1 now. And this is the team that I think just has to be number 1. We saw what they can do at their potential peak level at Worlds, and that was winning a World Championship against a Team Falcons team who had just beaten Karmine the round before that. I mean, NRG at their peak level, they're hard to beat, and they get rewarded for that because they just won Worlds. So they go number 1 for peak potential. But anyway, number 1, NRG, Atomic, Beast Mode, and Daniel. So even though this is hypothetical, right? You could say that this could be number 1. I think, like, honestly, I thought about doing 1A and 1B. I didn't want to do that, though, because I thought that would be, like, too indecisive. So I decided to put NRG number 1, and the main reason I did that is because I truly think that Beast Mode and Daniel are super, super underrated still mechanically, And I think Atomic is also extremely underrated mechanically. I think there's an argument that Beast Mode, Daniel, and Atomic are 3 of the best players or the 3 best players in the world. I wouldn't say that, but I think that you can argue that along with like Vatira, Atao, Drawley, Ruas, Kaliers, that type of player. They're all S tier. Any of those players, when they're playing at their highest level, you're probably not going to beat them. And because NRG and Falcons are both made up of 3 players who I think all are in S tier, I have to give credit to NRG and Falcons and put them at 1 and 2. But I do think that when Beast Mode and Daniel and Atomic are playing at their highest level, they're the hardest team to beat in the world. And I think we kind of saw evidence of that at Worlds when they completely handled Falcons, who were playing well in the grand final. But anyway, number 1, NRG, Atomic, Beast Mode, Daniel, NA on top once again. Main reasoning, the world champions. They literally won Worlds a month ago, and all the players on this roster seem to be getting better and better. Their peak potential is insane. We saw it at Worlds, and nobody could stop them at that level. I truly think they play. Also, let's just talk about that really quick. They swept GeeKay. I don't care what anyone says about GeeKay, they're very good. Sweeping GeeKay is insane. And they also handled Falcons. I don't know. I just think NRG deserves all the credit for being probably the highest potential roster in the world. Very mechanical, very strong offense, very strong defense. Best overall team until proven otherwise. They deserve their flowers. And I totally skipped one. I truly think they play the closest to perfect Rocket League of any team when they're peaking. That was true during the 2025 season at least. When they played in that grand final, I think that was genuinely the closest to perfect Rocket League we've seen. They literally made like no mistakes, and due to that, they 4-1 Falcons and won Worlds during the most competitive season of Rocket League ever. And they also got top 4 every single time. So during every RLCS event. But yeah, again, now I'm kind of making it sound like a power ranking. Going off of raw talent and raw potential, Beast Mode, Daniel, Atomic, I still think that they are arguably number 1. And mainly because they won Worlds, I'm giving them the number 1 spot on this list. But anyway, looking at the peak potential placement now, we have winning a LAN/Worlds top 1 to 4 is expected for this team at some point. So, the only 2 teams I have on this whole entire list, and with the same peak potential placement, is Falcons and NRG. Falcons and NRG, I both think are expected to make a top 1 to 4 at some point this season. These teams, I think it's likely they could, but these ones, Falcons and NRG, I think they're your 1A and your 1B heading into the 2026 RLCS season, basically. Raw talent-wise as well. I just think talent-wise, they're the best on paper. And yeah, this has to be an EU fan favorite video. No EU teams in the top 5 of this video. On a more serious note, this is actually an NA fan's favorite video because this is a very hypothetical video. And NA, for the last couple seasons now, has had very, very mechanical rosters with a lot of potential. But then those teams outside of NRG really haven't done what they could do at their highest level, probably. This is an NA fan's favorite video because it's hypothetical. But we do know NRG, they just won Worlds. They're going to do their thing. But I do think if Shopify and Spacestation and Gen.G can step up and do their thing, very, very good rosters this season. Very, very tons of potential. Who knows what we could see them do. I do think NA is genuinely on an uptrend though, especially after NRG won Worlds. I think it just helps the region overall with confidence. But to all the EU fans that I've successfully possibly rage baited, I do think EU will be the best region overall in Rocket League. Like they always are. It's just the way it is. But I think there's some more competition. I think there's more competition this season. There always is more competition every year. The competition steps up every year. I do think NA is on an uptrend. But yeah, guys, that is it for my rankings of the RLCS 2026 teams based on raw potential and raw talent. So let's look at the last slide now. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Also, guys, before I end the video, I just want to say, feel free to let me know down in the comments what you think of my rankings here of which RLCS 2026 teams I think have the most potential or raw talent. And let me know which RLCS 2026 teams you think have the most raw potential and talent. And again, guys, we are so close to 1,000 subscribers. It's probably unlikely that we'll get 1,000 after this video, but we can make a push for it. So if you're watching this, it would mean a lot if you'd subscribe and help us reach that goal. I literally cannot do it without you guys. It is literally impossible. And thank you for all the support, seriously, on the RLCS videos lately. It's been insane. It truly has been insane. You guys are my goats. Also, guys, as always, I really, truly do hope that you guys are doing well in every aspect of life. Anyway, guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.